So I grew up in England, south of London, and played youth football through every level in this country, and then went to university and played in what was BCAFL then, and is now part of Bucks, in the University League, which has since grown and was a part of the Great Britain collegiate staff that went to the United States and played and won a European Championship. And before I went to college, it was really my dream to go play in the United States, but I had no idea how to. And then when I graduated college from Aberystwyth, it made me think again about going to the United States, and that's when I moved over in 2003, and now I've been there for 13 years, now coaching at the University of Laverne in Southern California.
We've known each other a long time, and you've helped place 5 of our kids from this academy out in the US with you. What's the biggest difference between those guys and the kids you recruit out in the US?
I think they have a lot of similarities, firstly. They have a great work ethic because with your program they're used to lifting all year round. I think you put a high level of expectation on them. They're moving away from home in a lot of cases, so that really sets a high expectation for them on the field, off the field, being successful. And they understand that academically they need to be successful. So that's one of the big similarities for us, and that makes the transition easier. On the field, I think they're getting used to just the speed of the game. I mean, it's the same for any high school guy coming in. They go from high school where they're playing against, 14 to 17-year-olds, and in college they're playing against 18 to 22-year-olds. So guys will be bigger and faster and stronger. So once they get accustomed to that, then I think it's a pretty smooth transition. And I think all the 5 guys that have come out have been able to contribute to their teams, and that's been the biggest part. And then they've been very good teammates to their teammates, which is an even bigger part is connecting and being a part of things.
Awesome. And we're obviously one of the few teams in the UK that's based within an academic institute, which is very similar to how it works out in the US with the NCAA football. Is education pressed as much in your college as it would be here? And is that something they need to focus on as much as the football in order to make that progression?
Yeah, absolutely. The only way I can recruit British kids in general is if they have a strong academic background that translates. If they don't have that academic background, I can't recruit them to our school, regardless of where I am, regardless of level. So that's a key component to it, and I think these guys, everyone you've had and you've developed has really understood that is an important part of things. And so it's really crucial, and you see it time and time again with these guys. And so being in an academic setting, I think, sets the right tone to those guys.
And I mean, with, for example, Laverne, where you are now, what's the sort of ratio for a student to teachers? Is it like the big schools, is it Division One, where they've got thousands upon thousands of students, or is there a much bigger student to teacher ratio to help them?
No, at Laverne we have about 2,600 undergrad students. We have a number of satellite campuses and a school of law and then grad school, which you'll see our total student population anywhere between 8,000 and 10,000 students. Our undergraduates enjoy a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. 70% of our classes are under 27 or 28 students. So you're going to be in a much smaller classroom, much smaller environment. And actually, we don't have very many big lecture halls on campus. Really, there's 2 of them, and one of them is really for our theater department. So it's hard if you want to have a class of, a couple of hundred. You can't do it.
And can you tell us about what a typical week's like in the NCAA for the kids that really want to dream big and try to make that step? What are they letting themselves in for? What's a typical day and week look like?
Well, I mean, in season, you're going to play your games typically on Saturdays. So you're going to have, that's going to be pretty much an all-day affair. You're going to have some sort of pre-game meal, be with your team. You're going to be getting ready and then playing the game, and then afterwards, for us, we have our families of all our players cook food for our team, and we sit out in the tailgating area, and everybody in the whole team eats together after the game. So it's really a cool event, and even if you don't have any family there, someone's going to adopt you, and you're going to become their family, and they're going to look after you. So I think that's really a cool way that one of the ways our guys get closer. Sundays, our players will be off. They'll be away from us. So if they're working on big paper or schoolwork, they get that day just to go do whatever they need to do. And then Monday through Friday, typically speaking, we'll have a practice that lasts between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And then there'll be a half an hour position meeting with their position coach. So each position will have someone responsible for coaching them. And on offense right now, for example, I think 7 assistant coaches under me. So every position is going to have either 1 or 2 guys there with them. So they'll meet with that coach every day. There'll be some weight room time with our strength coach, Coach Durant. If you're a younger guy that's not necessarily playing right now, you may get an extra lifting during the week and try and develop your strength. And in season last year, our squat program that our younger guys were involved with, we all gained about, on average, 60 pounds on the squat. So it was a pretty good thing in season to be able to do that. So we'll keep you busy, but we're under 20 hours a week of your time, and the rest of it we're expecting you to do your part in the classroom and help out in the community and be a good person.
And could you explain to us a bit more about what Laverne was like when you guys came into the football program, and obviously where you guys have taken it to now?
Yeah, when we arrived in 2011, I flew out for an interview during spring practice and watched 4 offensive linemen going through and practicing. And so we didn't even have an offensive line at that point. The first year we had around 80 players to start the season. And we're inheriting a team that had won 4 games in 4 years and had won, I believe, 19 games over the previous 10 years. So extremely unsuccessful for a long period of time. The attention to detail and just the general level of competition and competitiveness wasn't there on any level. So we came in and we restructured things, and we really worked on getting people to buy in and being all in. We talk about that a lot with our players, about caring about each other, committing themselves to the team, and that means committing yourselves to your teammates. And now we're at a point now where our players really respond to each other in a positive way. And if there's ever any issues where perhaps someone isn't working as hard as they should be, or perhaps someone's not doing the classroom work they need to do, then our players often will address that with them. Because we spend a lot of time with our players, but our players spend a lot more time with each other. And so now the biggest thing we have is this culture in place where guys are accountable to each other because they've built these strong relationships. And the only way you can do that is spending time with each other and being open with each other. And we've had some really good talks, some really hard talks, and laid things out. So we have a close-knit group. And then this last season, we won the Southern California Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Championship, which is a mouthful. So that was the first time in 20 years that we won the championship. So there's been a lot of players who've gone through without winning a championship at Laverne. And I think we've had football almost 90 years, and this is the 6th one they've had. So now we're trying to put together another group, and it isn't focused on, hey, winning the championship. I mean, that's something we all want, but it's on how close can we get, how hard can we work together. Those are the things that then the end result is winning championships. And so we cannot lose focus of that. If it just becomes about winning, then everything else kind of goes out the window. But I think for us, it's about the people first.
And so we're lucky enough that we've got obviously Elliot Hoyt and Alex Jenkins that have come back and given us interviews as well. Mm-hmm. And Elliot Hoyt mentioned the big thing that they all are asked to buy into at Boise State is the blue collar mantra, that they're hardworking, that they're going to get their hands dirty, as it were, and really get stuck in. Now, I noticed that a lot of your posts hashtag culture over scheme. Mm-hmm. Is that something that there's a coaching staff buy-in, or is that something that you get your whole team to buy in? Everybody
has to buy in. It's every coach, every player, the bus driver, the people that give you food before the game, the president, the hairdresser. in town, the guy that sells pizzas in town. Everybody has to buy it. It's a everything going in one direction culture, and it can't just come from the coaches. I mean, every single person needs to believe in what we're doing. And we at Laverne, we're not the school that has the $20 million stadium, and we don't have the 16 alternate uniforms and 5 different helmets, and we don't fly private jets to go places. But what we do have is the relationships that we build with each other and the bonds that we connect. And those things mean a lot more to us than any of the other stuff. And I think once guys recognize that, then we're really free to do anything we want. It's not about what stuff do I have, but it's about what connections can I make. And with our players, that's the reason that we get text messages and phone calls. And, when we beat Redlands this year, over at their place, the number of texts and voicemails and messages and emails I got from about every player that had played for us the previous 4 years was overwhelming, and it gets me chills kind of just thinking about it. That's what it's about, and that's more priceless to us than any uniform or anything like that.
One final question. So obviously you're here today to talk to our kids, our latest group of players that we've got here at the Pride. What would be the things that would stop you recruiting a kid from the UK? What are the sort of common mistakes that they typically make? Or
I mean, I think it's the same thing that you look at any recruit. If you go on someone's social media page and they're talking about, disrespecting women or drugs or anything in that nature, that's a character flaw. And when our whole program is built on character and connections, that becomes a red flag to us. So we're going to look at that. If you have no commitment to excellence in the classroom, then we perceive you to not have any commitment to excellence to being on the field. Because either you're giving everything you have in the classroom, and then you're going to give everything you have on the field, or you're not. There is no in-between area. So those are the things we're going to look for. Guys that can't get up and be at practice on time. I mean, football's got to be important to you. It just is. Football, and it's the reason I'm in the United States. It's the reason I met my wife. It's the reason I have a green card and get to live in LA. It's the reason I get to travel back to the UK. It's done everything for me. And so for me, it's hugely important. And I want to see the same thing from every guy that we recruit. It needs to have that level of importance, because then they're going to be successful. And it's going to mean something to them when we get a play to win a game. And it's going to mean something when they graduate. And it's going to mean something when they come back and tell us about, hey, they just got engaged. They just got admitted to law school. It's going to mean something. And so we're looking for those flags that it's not important to them.